Hi everybody, we're rolling right along with the Best Self series. Today's topic is persistence, and I just want to say thank you to those who have been watching all along and commenting on the videos. As I look through the comments section, I feel like I learned so much about those of you who are watching, because oftentimes you'll tell me, why that video relates to your life, and oftentimes, it's a totally different scenario than, say, when I was talking about leaving the comfort zone, and my story related to cheerleading for that, but, your story's related to so many other things. I urge you, as you're listening to this, to think about your relationships and how persistence might play a role in that. You're just trying to, maintain success in your job or your schoolwork, or, the teams and groups that you're a part of and things like that. We talked about asking yourself in the last video, how bad do you want it, whether that's a job or success in sports or school. And if you really want it bad, you might leave your comfort zone. And sometimes, that's all it takes. Sometimes that does bring you the success that you're after, and sometimes leaving the comfort zone is just plain not enough. And that's when the word persistence comes to mind. They say persistence pays, and I guess I'm going to explain to you why persistence really does pay in this video. Sometimes when things don't work for you the first time, it's easy to take that as kind of like your exit sign. I feel like we're almost always looking for signs of something, like especially when you're trying to make life decisions and you're like, oh, well, that's a sign I shouldn't do this or that. And so sometimes when you fail at something the first time, or it doesn't go how you planned it, you can easily take that as, well, I'll be leaving this little, task now, or whatever I was trying to do. But really, that's not the message you should always be taking from stuff like that. Especially if it's something you're truly hungry for and you really, really desire and you hope for in your life. When I think of one of my biggest achievements in life, I think of my job. And I think a lot of people just think, especially as you're going through high school and even going through college, you just kind of think, oh, I'll go to school and then I'll go and I'll get my job, like it'll just come to me. It doesn't. The job market is a tough place, and you don't always just have something waiting for you simply because you have the education for it or whatever. So getting that job is a big accomplishment, and I think anybody out there with a job is nodding their head right now and thinking, that took some doing. To be honest, I was kind of intimidated to even pursue a career in TV news, because it's always talked about as being a really competitive field, let alone not easy once you get into it. I had an internship though during college. It was between my junior and senior years, where I got to, sorry, I don't feel like it's quite straight. There we go. My internship taught me how to straighten out cameras. No, to an extent that is true. But anyway, I had an internship between my junior and senior year of college, and it really put me through the paces of what a real news job would be like. I went to school and I was taking classes and I was giving speeches and all this stuff, but nothing taught me what I needed to know about what it would be like to be a news reporter, like my internship did at KHQA TV in Quincy, Illinois. Shout out to any Quincy viewers. That place is filled with the best people, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful environment to learn in. And so I gained a lot of confidence through that internship, and really that whole thing just made me think, this is what I want to do. So anyway, I was able to show myself what I was capable of, gain the confidence, and it was kind of like building that bottom level of the pyramid. If you apply this whole pyramid to just my career world, it was about getting that confidence up there to go ahead and take the plunge and start that job search, which is the real challenge. And any professor or anyone in this profession of TV broadcasting would tell you that if you want to get a job, especially, if you want to get a job as a reporter or an anchor or something like that, you spread your net wide. In other words, you make a bunch of resume tapes, or demo reels or whatever you want to call them. Now they're on DVDs, and that contains all of your, on-air work, your stories, or your best stuff, really. And you send those out everywhere. A professor, I remember telling me, you want to send them out to as many places as possible, because chances are then maybe one of those stations might call you back. You might have success with that, but you spread your net wide and you get your name out there everywhere. Well, my situation turned out to be kind of different. In the fall of my senior year, Tyler proposed to me, and so we decided, that summer we would be getting married. He also had, kind of a little goal track set in mind for him, and he had already been, by midway through the year, I think, he was accepted into law school down here in Southern Illinois, where we are now. and he was accepted there with a scholarship, so that was looking like the best option for him. And so for me, it went from thinking, oh, I'm going to send out all these resume tapes all over the country and we'll see where we go, to I have one city that I'm going to target here, because that's where we're going to live, and I got to be able to drive there. You know, assuming I do get a job, I need to be able to drive there every day. And so my job search just became a lot more confined, and it became a situation of, you must make this work if you want to do what you've studied and what you know, really have set as your goal. Turns out there were no openings when I was looking there. I spent a good 6 months in the midst of planning that wedding, just wondering how I would get my foot in the door. I sent my resume tape several times to the station, hoping they would say something like, you know, come on down, we really like you, you're great. But I heard nothing. And finally, after being in Carbondale for a couple of weeks, I saw a part-time position in the paper. And so here I am down here, you know, Tyler's in law school. He's not allowed to even be working at that point. They suggest that you don't work in your first year of law school. And so I saw this part-time position, and I'm thinking, okay, here it is, something, you know, I need that. I sent my material to the station once again, and I heard nothing. And I remember calling my mom at this point. You know, I'm kind of in a panicked, sort of upset, basically, state of unrest, you know, because I'm just feeling the pressure of wanting to make this work. And I remember the station's website said, no phone calls, please. But at this point, I called. You know, I mean, I know there's some places where, you know, I might not have had as good of luck calling because they might have just really gotten mad and yelled at me, but I went ahead and called. I left a message. I heard nothing back. I called again. Same story. You know, it's kind of like I was being ignored. And finally, I got somebody, and I asked, can I come in and interview for this job you've got open? And they said okay. I mean, sometimes the simple act of just being a pest can pay off, but I had an interview for that part-time job. It involved editing and behind the scenes, you know, camera work in the studio during the newscast. I thought the interview went well, but another week passed and I didn't hear anything. Did anybody guess what I did? Anyone? Yes, I called. I called them again and I asked if I could have that job, and because I really, really needed it, and I would do anything they needed me to do. Absolutely. I mean, we talked about in the video titled Own It, you know, you've got to be your own advocate. You've got to really sell yourself and put yourself out there, because who else was going to do that for me at that time? I told them I'd do whatever it took, and they finally said, you're hired. Okay, you can work here. And I'm thinking, yes. As I crossed that hurdle, as I got that part-time behind-the-scenes associate producer job, you know, as soon as I crossed that, I would be in for a whole lot more of work to get to where I ultimately wanted to be, which was anchoring. And it took about 2.5 years doing various kind of odd jobs, in a sense, being sort of a Jack or Jill of all trades at the station. I was doing, you know, producing, reporting, editing, nights, weekends, holidays, you name it. You know, it was every shift, it was every task, and I was gaining a lot of skills, and this was a real period of growth for me in terms of learning what this business is all about. But eventually I got to start anchoring the morning show, and that was just the job I really felt like was the best fit for me. That's what I'm doing now. That's what I really have a passion for. I just love it so much. But I mean, it was such a climb, you know? And would it have happened without persistence? It totally wouldn't have. I had so many opportunities throughout this whole thing to say, I guess I'm not wanted here. You know, I guess this is not the place for me. Ever heard the phrase, fake it till you make it? I feel like I'm a pretty real person, but I tell you what, if I went into, you know, those interviews and feeling the way I truly felt inside and showing it to my potential new boss and other people I'd be working with, do you think they'd want me? Someone who's low on confidence, kind of down on her luck, desperate. You go in there being that confident person you know they want. You've got to remember, you know, think back to those experiences. Think back to the time that you got out of your comfort zone. Think about the other hurdles you've gotten over up to that point. And then you'll start to realize you do deserve it, you know? You've got to feel like you're worthy. And not only that, but you got to make other people believe it too. And in my situation here, this was a job search, but there are so many other times you're selling something to someone. Maybe you're putting on a huge presentation for a whole crowd of people and you're wanting them to go along with your plan, or you're, you know, trying to lead a group of students or a class or something like that. There's a certain amount of persistence that goes into these things, just in terms of working to, you know, really get to where you need to be. But there's also an attitude that's on top of it. It's the attitude of, I deserve this, and here's why, and being comfortable telling people about it. So I hope this story was helpful to you, and whatever you're dealing with in your life right now could be, you know, being that solid rock of a person there for someone in your life. And maybe that's difficult for you to do. Maybe it's a relationship you're struggling with holding together, but you know, it's the persistence that makes it happen. So we're really building the core of this pyramid now. We have 2 more videos left after this, and the next one is passion. It's probably my favorite aspect of all of this right now, because I feel like this really ties it all together. We're going to talk a lot about my YouTube channel, actually, and how that factors into the passion in my life, and how do you determine what your passion even is. You know, I think a lot of people just expect to have, you know, something that they're passionate about, that X factor kind of thing in their life that is just their thing, but not everybody even knows what that is for them. So maybe uncovering your passion will be one of the things we also get to. So thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.